This lesson is doing the daily maintenance on your spectrophotometer to set up for use each day. You will need your spectrophotometers, and we're going to go ahead and power this one on so it can warm up for us. Remove your dust cover, and your power switch is this toggle switch right in the back. And the spec will begin is self-check. You will learn to recognize the normal sounds of your instrumentation so that you will know when there is an abnormal sound. We have two Genesis specs, A and B. Today we're using B. You will need your maintenance log sheet under spectrophotometer, and you want to make sure that you have the correct lab and spec. There are multiple sheets in here. We have Lab 100 A and B spec, and we have Lab 101 A and B spec. Make sure you have the correct sheet for your recording. We are going to record for Lab 101, spec B. While it's still doing its warm-up, you want to acquire the reference material that's kept in the drawer. This is material that we have purchased and has been certified that it's very accurate. And you will need lens paper. In our reference material vial, we have two containers. One vial contains the blank, which is a clear solution. The other vial contains the reference material, which happens to be green for this set. We always keep them in this container so that they do not get compromised. They do acquire dust and material from the packing, so you always want to clean them off. We're going to go back to our spec, and according to our maintenance log, we have 3 different wavelengths we need to dial in to measure this reference material. We will begin with wavelength 257. So over at the spec, we will choose set wavelength 257. Enter. And the filter wheel rotates to that particular filter. Inside is the read station. This is help. And you can see we only have one read station, and you want to position your cuvette so that the front is facing you. Always close the lid in between all of your processing steps. We are going to begin with the blank solution. These vials contain a front surface that has blank written over it and a back surface that is your read alignment, and each side is frosted. You want to make sure that you clean off the front and back surfaces with your lens paper and position it in the read station correctly. Front facing you. Press it all the way down till it's seated. Close the lid. This is the blank, so we want to measure blank on our spec. This will set the beginning to 0.000 absorbance, which it has done. Now we will remove the reference material, close the lid, and replace it into the box. Now we want to take the reference material, and it is the same way. It says a reference at the top has a front and a back, clear, and frosted sides. Clean the surface of the front and the back. Open the lid. Seat it front facing you and close the lid. We did not make any adjustments. We're going to allow it to read the absorbance of this solution. With our 3 decimals, we will record in our logbook. So I have the date, my initials, and the first reading for wavelength 257. Always include your running zero. Go back to the spec, open the lid, remove your material, close the lid, and replace it to the box. We're going to repeat this whole procedure for 2 more wavelengths. So now I want to dial in 416, set wavelength, 416, enter. You hear the wheel turn. Make sure it says 416. Go back to the blank. Make sure it's clean. Front facing you. Open the lid. Place it in the station. And close the lid. This is the blank, so I want to measure blank and allow it to reach 0.000. Open the lid. Remove your vial, replace it, take your reference material, wipe off the surfaces, open the lid, insert, close the lid, allow it to read, and then record. This is 416 wavelength. Open the lid, remove, close the lid, replace. Now I want to dial in my next wavelength of 630. Enter. Once it has rotated into place, I will insert the blank. Open the lid, insert, close the lid. This is the blank, so I need to press measuring blank and allow it to 0.000 absorbance. Remove your blank, close the lid, the reference material, insert, close the lid, allow it to read, and record this value. So we have 0.257. Remove the material, close the lid, and replace it. At this point, now we need to go back and look at our data and make sure that we fall within the acceptable limits. So for the first wavelength, we fall within acceptable limits. Second wavelength, we are within acceptable limits. The third wavelength, we are within acceptable limits. This is a 7. We did replace the material. We will close the lid and put it back into its storage area. Once you are finished for the day, you want to wipe off all surfaces of your instrument with disinfectant. You never spray your instrument directly. Always spray it on gauze and then wipe it off. And we will do so when we're ready to shut down at the end of the day. When you go back to your spec and you've done your maintenance wipe down, you want to turn the toggle power switch off and return the dust cover.